SBM Bank. Hello and welcome to another conversation on what women want online, brought to you by SBM Bank. Remember, SBM Bank want to empower you and enlighten you with conversations such as we are having. And SBM strives to help the community in many ways as possible, focusing on women empowerment and the environment. This is why we are having these conversations brought to you by SBM Bank. I'm giving you a chance to win with SBM Bank, but more on that in a little while. First, I'm very excited to introduce our online guest today. Her name is Florence Makosi. She's a early childhood specialist. Welcome, Florence.
Thank you, Pinky.
I think you're going to smack my wrist for saying that wrong. She is an early childhood specialist. So, Florence, let's get straight into it. Last week, a lot of eager parents tuned in, hopefully to catch you on my Facebook Live. Unfortunately, we had a lot of technical issues, but I'm so glad that you're able to join us and shed some light on what every parent is debating right now. We're going to be discussing online learning and its causes, its effects. Well, we know the cause, but its effects and what's going to happen. What's the future? Because everybody is keen to know the future. So my first question to you, it's also what I asked, the psychologist we had on last week is this an experiment and are our children lab rats?
Okay. Thank you, Pinky. Nothing can actually replace the structure and the vibrancy of a classroom, not online learning. And unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we've had to now go online. And it cannot, in my opinion, it cannot and will not look the same as a normal classroom. In terms of it being an experiment, it's not really an experiment, but it's something new to us as Kenyans, I would say, or in Africa, because in the European world, in America, they do a lot of online learning. But for us, it's something very, very new, because even for the teachers, it's no longer the computer or the laptop is no longer a tool that they use just to check emails. It's a tool that they now have to use to be able to teach the children. So they also have to adjust their mindset to be able to prepare lessons that are suitable for learning for the children. So, and different ages are able to do different things. So they also have to be extremely creative in the different types of lessons that they plan to do online with the children. So it's going to be new for a while until we adjust to the mode of learning. But it's something I believe that has to be taken extremely slowly,
right,
gradually, step by step, making sure we're engaging both parents and also finding out from the children how it's going for them. I think for me, that's what I would say at this point.
So when you say that it's worked in the Western world, when have they used this, especially for children under the age of, say, 12 or 15?
As much as I know, like in the US, they have something called snow days.
Yes.
Because days where it snows really heavily, so the teachers have already pre-planned lessons that the children can engage in when they're stuck at home and unable to come to school because of the snow. And they're recorded lessons that the children do. They're all these things. So the teachers always, through their academic year planning, they always plan that in. They always have to have lessons in the year where there's there's snow day lessons that the
Okay.
children can be able to engage in.
I always thought a snow day was a stay home and watch TV day.
The days that you're unable to go to school because
Right.
of whatever. It could
Yes,
be a
I
flood.
know.
It
There is
could
a lot.
be, yeah, some
Absolutely.
tension. Yeah, yeah.
So we are social creatures, Florence, and it's important that we socialize. So what impact is this going to have on our children? This whole online learning and self isolation. What do you see? Will How will it affect our kids?
Mhm. I think even for us as teachers, and for me personally as a teacher, because I also teach teach children. Um, I think it's also a huge adjustment into understanding that I will not be able to see this child physically move from this stage to this stage where I can be able to, assist them where they're
Mm,
struggling.
mm,
I will be able to do it online, but it's not the same.
right.
It's not the same. And then with children, I think that that's where they're more challenged because I guess for us as adults, we've adjusted to, things, stuff, learning how to do it. But I think for children, it's going to be a struggle because why can't I hug my friend?
Yes.
Why can't I sit next to my friend? I mean, I'm already envisioning a scene where the children come to school and all of them are dressed, they have their masks on, okay? And they're sitting 1.5 meters from each other. But, all of a sudden a child sneezes and it's like, oh, so-and-so sneezed on me. So-and-so coughed in my face, So-and-so did not use a sanitizer. So there's all that stuff. Or so-and-so touched me. And these children they love to interact. They
Yes.
love to be in the same space together. So for them, this adjustment is really, really huge. Not being able to socialize with their friends or even relatives, cousins, and stuff like that. Because the holiday time, I can't imagine what it was like for the kids. Even
Absolutely.
just whatever, even just traveling, going out to see other things,
Yeah, just
experiencing.
even going to a mall, my kids are like, why are we not going to Java for breakfast? And,
Exactly.
explaining to them that this is the new way of the world
Yeah.
it's difficult because also for, like yourself, I'm a social person. I thrive on human interaction. But when you've
Yes.
mentioned the masks, in China, 2 children died because of wearing masks and doing PE. I strongly feel that, in order for us to go back to school, personally, I will insist that my child doesn't wear a mask because
Mhm.
I think we also need germs to grow our immunity. I mean, I'll get a lot of comments from this comment, but this is my personal view. It's not something that I'm saying, oh no, this is the way it has to be. But it's
Mm.
just, germs build our immunity. And I think we need to be able to stand up for our children to say, no, actually, this is not going to be your world. What are your views on that? One, on the children unfortunately passing away, and two, parents may be saying, I don't want my child wearing a mask in school.
Yeah. I guess in my opinion, even as an adult, wearing the mask is also not the most comfortable,
Healthy.
healthy feeling. I mean, the first few days when wear the mask, it's like you're literally can't breathe,
Yes.
because you're not used to it. So I can't imagine what children would experience just having to wear a mask. So, because even when you think about it, if you go out and you're jogging, 'cause sometimes I do
Yes.
that,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not possible to walk or jog
With a
with
mask on.
and I'm an adult.
Yes.
So and children are active. So they'll be from one point of the playground to the other point
Yes.
of the playground, and they need to be able to exhale. They need to be able to inhale
Yes.
as well, and that may present some prevent them from breathing and breathing properly. So I think it's something that may need to be looked into really seriously if that would happen. in the future if that would be a requirement in the future. But since we don't really know that much about the preventative measures, because you see, like things like chickenpox, it's more or less presents more or less the same way as childhood diseases. Yeah. But you'll never know a child has chickenpox until the symptoms. And then if there are children in the class that have not had the chickenpox,
they'll get it.
They already get it. So it will be like kind of like a vicious cycle until everyone in that class has gotten the chickenpox. So it's something that at the end of the day, we have to first of all understand what are the precautions to it. Is there a different way to protect the children when they do come to school? What are the measures? Even if we say, okay, the school is going to be sprayed on a regular basis, how sure are we the chemicals or whatever it is that is put on in those canisters is also safe for the children?
Exactly.
Yeah, so there are all these questions that we may have at this particular point in time that may present, different challenges. But I think it's just to really, really think through and possibly learn from other countries or possibly what other countries are doing to be able to decide on a better measure.
We actually may have even jumped the gun. We've already opened schools in our minds. In this conversation, schools are open. But, the CS has said that it could take up to a year. And I'd love to know, as a teacher and as a parent, what you think of that. And as somebody who runs a school, first of all, for me, it's like a year. I mean, even if that's the plan, perhaps he should have broken the news to us, in a more gentle way, because small doses, small doses. As it is, there's a lot going on. What's your view if we do, open in a year?
That it's totally mind-boggling because there's so many factors. With we've already been out for about 3 months now, going to 3 months, and adding another 12 more months. I don't even want to think what that looks like. Okay. I can't even begin to envision what that would look like, because now what would happen is that a huge burden, well, maybe not burden, but a huge responsibility will be placed on the parents to be able to manage the child's. Yeah. Although normally the parents do support the children's learning, in a normal situation, but now it will be kind of like placed entirely on the parents to ensure that they can work with their children at home. Yeah, which may not also sit very well. You yourself are like shocked. You do not know. Okay, what?
Yeah, I just feel. I just think, like you said, you cannot envision that. So let's leave it there. Let's not envision it. Let's not even speak it into reality. And perhaps we can advise our leaders to consider the mental health of everybody who's listening to them. That whatever messages you want to relay, kindly think of the fact that there's a lot of trauma that's been inflicted due to this pandemic, not only on Kenyans, but around the world, and as well as our children. Okay, so you were talking earlier about, this whole online curriculum and how, it's important to sit with parents and children to create this curriculum. How often do you see that happening? Is it something that you'll keep coming back to? Is that something that, you'll have to keep coming back to the drawing board and saying, okay, this worked, this didn't work, this worked, this didn't work?
Yeah, so as part of our curriculum, at Kigwa Reed School, what we've done previously is, can I say that again?
Yes.
Okay. So what we did as Kigwa Reed School, to be able to figure out what's going to happen with the online learning, I sent out a survey to the parents, just asking them various questions. This is what we're planning to do. Are you mentally ready for it? these are the activities we'd like to do. Do you have the resources to be able to help your children?
Right.
With, do you have access to devices? Do your children have access to devices, whether on their own or individual devices, or they're sharing? Mm-hmm. So we put all these questions basically to the parents and ask them, okay, will there be an adult present when the children have online learning? Will you be able to, for instance, if we send learning packs online, are you able to print them or not? Are you able to access them? Do you have Wi-Fi, or are you using just data, and then just making recommendations based on that? So we send this out, and we got very, very good feedback from the parents. And then from there began now to plan with the teachers how to go about it. And what our plan is to go bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks.
Okay, so you do a check-in.
Yes, we do check-in. So we do a 2-week learning kind of like pack that goes home.
Okay.
So this is a physical learning pack, or parents print it directly from the portal. So then we have the learning, online learning lessons that are divided into chunks of not, obviously the first week for us will be more getting to know the children, how they're doing, how's their holiday, how they're getting on, and all that kind of stuff. And then a lot of fun stuff before we actually start the learning. So then doing the online learning in batches of 30 minutes or even less in a day.
Okay.
And then the other days, so skip days. So we'll do like three days. We'll do like online learning, 30 minutes every day, and then also have pre-recorded sessions that the children can watch. But even with the online learning that we'll be doing live, we will also record these, so that if a parent is at work, for instance, or is working from home online, or has a sibling who needs a computer at that particular time, the parent has the flexibility to come back later and check the recording that was live earlier and go through it with the child at their own pace, at their own time. So it's not like at 8 o'clock, sit up, let's get on with school.
Yeah.
So
there's a flexibility to whatever you're offering. And I think a lot of schools are doing that as well. They're recording their sessions, and they're I think they're being very understanding with whatever is going on, because it's a lot. And like I said, maybe it's just it's learning on all ends. It's not only the kids who are in school, but it's also the teachers, because this is new for them, and it's also the parents, because they're juggling and trying to understand how this will work. And there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of costs that have been cut, fees that have been, to raise the fees now is another issue that, we've even seen in the national newspapers, that, a lot of the private schools and what's going on, and what parents are doing and how they are reacting. And, at the end of the day, a school, and correct me if I'm wrong, a school is a business, and it needs to find a way to continue. But then also, I think parents are looking for the justification when you say 30 minutes, and but I'm paying X amount of shillings for 30 minutes of a class, where, my child would have been in school for 8 hours a day and had lunch and had transport and da-da-da and da-da-da. What do you have to say to parents who are in a situation where they might find themselves unable to put their child back into school?
Yes, you're right. Most of the schools are businesses, okay, and they have costs that they need to have. They have costs that they need to cover, so that they it's viable at the end of the day for them. So they are, different schools are, the scenarios are different everywhere. So I think it's just upon each school to kind of like define what works for them. Like you said very clearly, there's no transport, because you cannot. We're not transporting the children. The children are not having lunch in school. But when you think about it, like I said right at the beginning, the online learning cannot replace the structure and the vibrancy of a classroom.
Right.
So it's literally a third, or even, I don't even know, I mean, how to kind of like equivocate it to. It's a fraction of what a full classroom would look like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? So I think for me, at the end of the day, is I believe there's so many learning moments that the parents also need to take up and just have spontaneous learning. Okay? Whereas, okay, yes, the school has given me these activities to do with my child this week. How can I turn a lesson in fractions into a spontaneous learning moment? I can teach my child how to bake a cake because the child will need a quarter cup of margarine, half a cup of butter, half a cup of sugar, 2 cups of flour. So you're already teaching the child practically a fraction lesson. And there's no stress. The child is enjoying,
Right.
stirring the flour
Yes.
and all that kind of stuff. So I think at the end of the day, just to answer your question about the fees, it's just about also understanding the situation that parents are in. There are those parents who've had to close down businesses because the businesses cannot run in this situation. They've had to lay off staff for
Yes.
whatever reasons. They have, still have bills to pay if they're probably renting a space or
Yes.
whatever. So there are all these situations to consider.
Right.
What we have done for us, we are charging the parents on a monthly basis.
Okay.
And that already has been subsidized. There's a percentage that has been cut from the normal fees. And then what we do, we bill you for per month. If you feel by the end of that month, my child has not benefited, it's okay. You can say, I'm not carrying on in the next month.
Okay.
Okay, and that's a parent's prerogative. All right. So we send them demo lessons and preview lessons. This is what the lessons will look like. So the child enrolls for that month and then figures out, do I want to carry on with this next month? Because you remember, they're getting these packets bi-weekly.
Yes.
Sending this bi-weekly.
Yeah.
And at the end of every week, we're checking in with the children and the parents. Did this week work for you?
Okay.
Were these activities too heavy, needed too much of my attention? Because when you think about the younger children, because at Kigwa Reach School, we work with children from the creche class all the way until year 2. So we're talking about children who are 2 years old, all the way until 7, 8 years. So the work that you're giving a 2-year-old, first of all, the focus and attention is possibly not there. So you can't go on for 20 minutes trying to do an activity with a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
So just managing the activities based on the age group. So we've taken that into a lot of consideration.
I think the conversations that are coming out or the narrative that you see that's occurring right now is that this is when people are valuing nurses, doctors, teachers.
Yeah.
As much as people, but teachers need to take a pay cut. And again, my personal view, this is just it's a very controversial debate, but my personal view is, like you said, it's very intense to be able to conduct a class online, to be able to engage your children online when your training has been, this is what a classroom will look like, and this is how you will engage and teach. And now suddenly everybody's been thrown into this, right? Everybody's like, okay. And within a very quick sort of time span, you guys had to recreate and produce something so that our children, and you've kept our children in mind, so that our children are able to just continue. So there's no sort of drop. There's no drop, and they continue. And to them, it's just, okay, a little blip, but we are still together, if you will. So, and I do hope that out of this, we do champion our teachers, our as they say, the frontline workers, and all these frontline workers definitely need to be paid a lot more than they're getting at the moment. I just want to ask you very quickly, what do you see the benefits of online learning are?
The benefits, first of all, is technology, because also we don't use that much technology basically in learning. So I think that's one of the things that is, that is a benefit actually to everyone.
Yes.
Because if we can learn how to do things by watching somebody, that I think is a big plus. I think everyone should pat themselves on the back for learning how to, I don't know, make a frittata just by watching somebody doing it.
My yoga teacher taught me, and she learned on YouTube. So there you go.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's very, it's a great way and great mode of learning, because I think at the end of the day, also understanding, even this is also something that we took into consideration, that the learning styles of children are very, very different. Okay, you have those children who learn by someone talking through. There are those who learn with visual. They need to be able to see something to be able to grasp a concept. Yes. So there are all these children who learn so differently. So you have to take that into consideration, because especially concentration span. So you have to figure out, a child would learn better with manipulatives, okay, but you're still teaching the same concept. So even in taking into consideration what we're doing online, we have to also do the same thing. So we have to make sure we have visual aid. You have to make sure we're talking clearly. And you have to make sure you have manipulatives that the children also have. So, which is another thing with the online learning, we've asked parents to just make sure they have 1 or 2, 3 resources to make it easier for them to learn at home, because the school just closed abruptly.
Yes.
So no plan, no this, no that. So one of the recommendations is of giving the parents a few things that they can purchase that the children can be able to use. So say like playing cards, all right, just a normal playing card. You get a pack of normal playing cards, and a child can learn their numbers in sequence. So you just tell them, put these numbers in sequence from 1 to 9.
Yeah.
Put them in the same and different, or same shape.
Yes.
All the ones. So the child is learning, but they're also learning their numbers. They're learning value.
Yes.
This is 8. So there's so many things that we can be able to do, even at home, to be able to support that. So that's basically the mode of learning that we're going to be doing with the children, especially the ones in the younger age, where you have easy, manipulatives that the children can use at home. All right. Or for instance, you tell a child, "Oh, get me 5 green pegs. Get me 3 red pegs." Yeah. How many pegs are there all together? Because you have pegs at home. Sure. Okay. Or let's ask mommy to help you with a piece of bread.
Yeah.
All right. It's a whole piece of bread. Now let's cut it in the middle.
Yeah.
We have what? We've got 2 halves. So the child is doing it alongside with the parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is online learning the wave of the future? I think now that it's been implemented, it's not going away.
I don't think it's going away, and I think more and more, maybe more people will take it up, or be more interested in it, because I mean that's the wave of the future.
Okay.
For sure.
Maybe my last. Okay, no, I actually have 2 questions for you. One question. So we've talked about the learning and everything, but are teachers or schools advising children, or rather parents, on the effects of sitting too much? Your back is hurting because they're not sitting in school chairs. They're different chairs right now. They're office chairs or whatever they are. So it's the backaches, and then another thing is the headaches. So the anti-glare glasses. Is this something that you're considering to advise your parents to look at as well, which is another sort of added cost. But long term, the effects of the child could be detrimental if they're not wary of these things.
Yes, those are some of the things that we're going to recommend that parents also kind of like invest in.
Okay.
But like I said, for us, at most in a day, the child would spend on the computer, apart from maybe the older ones, is not more than half an hour.
Okay.
Because the instruction is done, and then you have your physical learning packet. So you go sit down on the dining table or your study place and get on with your coloring or your sticking or your cutting and stuff like that. So we're trying to minimize the amount of hours that the children are spending on the computer or on the laptop or any devices.
Especially with the older kids, I've heard a lot more. There's a lot more time being spent in front of a monitor, and it's maybe something that
I think we just need to manage that. In my opinion, we just need to manage that. Even for us as teachers, I mean, the first few weeks of kind of like what do you call it, putting together online learning. I mean, the amount of sitting, you would sit in one place for hours trying to figure out how to put this together and all that kind of stuff. So things like even, the teacher saying swelling legs and because of that, consistent, that position of just sitting in one place and not moving. And that's what we want to also encourage parents to do, get the kids moving a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why even the activities that we'll be doing is getting the kids to move from one place to another, even if it's for that half hour. So, go and pick your favorite book.
Yeah.
On for 15 minutes, so the child will be able to run to their room or the library and pick a book. Yeah.
This is my last question. It's in regards to mental fitness, and maybe you could give some advice to teachers or schools that may be watching. What should we be considering when it comes to the child and being mentally healthy?
I would say in a lot of ways, because for these children.
Sorry, I should even say for parents as well. Parents watching too.
I think it's just to relax. Yeah, and I think for me, I would advise parents, don't stress. Okay, like I mentioned, we will give you also ideas or whatever spontaneous ideas that you can be able to use in the child's learning when we do the different online sessions, so that you're not just limited to what is on the paper, on the activity pack. For instance, you could use a lesson to actually teach your children independence, okay? Teaching your child to make their bed, for instance, will give them positional language, because you're saying, okay, place the duvet on top of, all right? Tuck the corners, under, right? So you're teaching math when you're teaching your child how to make a bed.
Yeah.
Right? You're teaching your child how to follow instructions and a sequence, so that tomorrow he'll try and make his bed on his own. And as he does it, he'll be able to also repeat those instructions. So as much as possible, weave your home life into the learning.
Okay.
Focus on home and your child, and the learning will come through. Because at the end of the day, yes, you have all the child. And I think what maybe a lot of stress is coming from, because maybe the parent comes in opens the online portal on a Monday morning, and the child has a list of these things that they have to do, and that already overwhelms the parent. Where do I start? I have washing to do. I have this to do. And you see, also for some of the parents, they may not also have live-in house help. All right? So you're finding even some of these burdens are also being left to, if the parent has older siblings. the older sibling who's in school also now has to take on the role of working with the younger sibling. Yet they also have their online class to be able to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shift, like in responsibility that can be very hard in some homes. And that's why I'm suggesting that, just weave it into your schedule, because everybody's home schedule is different. If the child doesn't want to do it, fine, take a walk. Go outside.
I think what's important as well is to note that nobody's going to fall behind, because the whole world is going through this. And and again, maybe it's new for teachers, it's new for parents. So we all need to, sort of give each other a break and understand that we're all in this together. And I think that's what COVID is teaching us, is that we're in this together. It's not I, me, it's us, we.
Yeah. I think just concentrating on the experiences that you have with your child at home, I think that's the most important, because for me, it's almost like, when someone gives birth to a baby, everybody's celebrating, yay! And then the milestones the child had, the child started walking, so you're busy posting photographs, my child started walking and all that kind of stuff. I would hope that we would be able to do that as parents, because like when the child grasps the concept in class, I always do a happy dance. Woo, yeah, you got it. So in the same way, celebrating that your child can count, playing cards or pegs up to 10 is a win.
Yeah.
It's a win. So just figuring out things that we can be able to work at gradually.
Absolutely. Florence Makosi, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate your insights as an early childhood specialist. As we move into this world of online learning, a lot of anxious parents curious as to how this will pan out. And I really thank you for your time and your valuable comments. I wish you all the best as you open school. And fingers crossed, it all goes well.
Thank you very much, Pinky. I'm honored to have been part of this conversation.
Thank you. Have a great evening, and I look forward to seeing the comments on this conversation.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. So I want to give you a chance to win with SBM Bank. Remember, SBM are giving you these conversations. What Women Want Online is brought to you by SBM Bank. I am giving you a pre-loaded card, which is worth 4,000 shillings. And I want you to tell me what SBM Bank does for women. Comment below and I shall let you know whether you're a winner. Keep watching. Thank you and bye-bye.